If you're new to my channel, please take a moment to go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell notification if you'd like to watch some future videos. Anyway, this is a video that I've wanted to do for a while. Kind of doing a walk around and comparison of my 1989 Honda Prelude Si and 1990 Mazda Miata with a B package. And there's Donovan, who is not so much a puppy anymore. For those of you that have seen my other videos, you may recognize him. He's pretty big and he loves to get into stuff. Anyway, thanks for checking this video out. I'm gonna do a walk around of each car, kind of show you the condition, the miles, the features, talk about each car a little bit, tell you what I've done to it. And then videos for each of these cars have their own playlists. 1989 Prelude and the 1990 Mazda Miata. So let's get started. Here with my 1989 Honda Prelude. I've owned this car for about 2 years now, and I really love this car. Got a personalized plate. This is the Prelude Si. And I ended up, the car is original paint with a couple exceptions. I have personally repainted both doors. They were, I don't know if they had some scratches or something, and they had poor finish on them before, so I sanded them both down and repainted them. But the rest of the car is all original, except for the moldings and the mirrors. Those of you familiar with this third gen Prelude, especially on the 1989, would know that the moldings were black and the mirrors were black. Well, I didn't like that, so I got some paint matched and I went ahead and painted both mirrors. The wheels are from an Acura Integra, and they're the mesh style wheels. Again, I painted those white and got some H decals. I think that really makes a huge difference. I'll explain about the wheels that this came with in a bit. But this car is pretty much all original. It has what I believe to be a dealer installed rear spoiler with an LED. That is a Honda part. And I just painted the H emblem red along with the SI portion of that badge. I did put a new muffler on the car. It was original and it was pretty rotted out. It has the what I also assume to be the dealer installed sunroof visor, and it's in pretty good shape. It's got a little wear on it from just age, pretty much, but this was, I believe, a one-owner car, and I've got all the original records dating back a few decades, so that's definitely positive. I put a chin spoiler on there. It's an aftermarket spoiler from a first-gen Acura Integra, and it fits pretty well. It was never really made for this car, so it extends just a tiny bit past the bottom of the rear bumper, but that doesn't bother me. Everything on this car works with the exception of the rear defroster. And I have a video of that. When I scraped off the old tint, a lot of the defroster came off. Not that I care, we don't really need it here where I live. And the air conditioning does not work. The air conditioning used to work when I bought the car, but the compressor went bad. And so I put a compressor in it, and then it developed a leak in one of the lines, and at that point it just wasn't worth trying to fix this thing. When I got this car, I think it was that fog light was broken, so I was able to find a parts car locally, and I bought a couple parts off of it. So as it stands today, this car is complete and intact, and it's got power windows, and I added aftermarket power locks. and there's a video for that in the playlist. Pretty much everything I'm going to talk about has its own video in the 1989 Honda Prelude playlist, so please check those out if you haven't seen them already. All right, moving on to the interior. You can see the interior is completely stock and it is in excellent condition. These seats, there's not a single rip or tear in them, driver's seat included. I did replace the floor mats. They were just worn out. These are Lloyd's mats, so they're custom, they're cut to fit this car. You can see there's the key fob for the power locks that I installed. Added a center armrest, and that's from eBay, and you can go back and check that video for the information on that. Ended up replacing this shift boot, and this is actually leather. Replaced the cracked factory one and just kind of, you know, finished off the interior. It does have a leather steering wheel wrap, or just a cover really, because the steering wheel was pretty skinny and getting kind of worn out. I should mention, this car currently has, let's see, over 231,000 miles. And most people can't believe this car has that many miles for the condition that it's in. Again, had all the windows tinted, and it just kind of finishes off the look. Go ahead and show you the engine bay. Looking at the engine, you can see that it is pretty much all stock. No aftermarket air intake or anything like that. I did refinish the valve cover with the wrinkle paint and added the red script on there. I'm actually very, very happy with that. The wrinkle paint from the factory was just peeling off in sections, and it really needed to be done. But you can see, I mean, it's a little dusty, but everything is completely original. All the miles of vacuum line and all kinds of other stuff. All my cars I have wired in for battery tenders because they sit. Pop-up headlights work. I'll show you those. And I've installed aftermarket LED capsules, and they're great. I love those. Here we go. Provide plenty of light. And these were really expensive. I want to say they were like over $300 for the set, maybe closer to $400 actually. But they're, I think they're Truck Light brand. Yeah, Truck Light. And they really work well. All right, inside the trunk here, it's actually really nice and clean, but I do have the outdoor car cover stored in the trunk. It has a powered subwoofer, pretty cheap. I think it's from Walmart or eBay, I forget. Got a fire extinguisher installed. I have LED license plate lights. Everything else is incandescent though, except for the factory third brake light. Everything is real clean, absolutely no rust on this car. And that includes here inside the fuel cap, where these cars, even dry state cars like this, do tend to rust. But this is perfect, there's no rust there, so that's a good thing. I did replace the power antenna. It did not have the original power antenna when I bought the car, but I ended up doing something stupid and I broke the power antenna, so I bought a replacement and swapped it out. That does work perfectly. The car, the finish has a nice gloss and luster to it. Like I said, it's original. I believe this is lacquer, so it's really hard, and it's really hard to polish it, just being that this is 29 years old. No dents on the car. The car does have several really small dings that are probably hard to see on video here, but they're there. Not really much you can do about that. I'll go ahead and start it up. Okay, I'll give it a start. No check engine lights. All the gauges work properly. Installed a Kenwood stereo. Again, you can see the interior is in really nice shape. The clock works, and it still has its door, which is pretty amazing for one of these cars. They're pretty much all missing their little clock door for the controls back there. See, it idles nicely, runs very smoothly. See the condition of all the buttons and switchgear. This is even the original shift knob. These are pretty much impossible to find. So thankfully mine's in pretty good shape. A little bit of wear on it, but that's to be expected. Remote for the stereo. Dust coming out of there. Anyway, go ahead and turn this off. I know I did replace the mirror when I first got this. This one's in a lot better condition, but a lot of the silver, if you can see that right there, a lot of the silver does tend to come off of these mirrors. This one's doing it just a little bit, but this one's in way better shape than the other one that I had, the one it came with. Headliner's in really good condition. Visors. I mean, it's pretty much unheard of to find one of these cars if they're not butchered or torn up or just rusty. All right, let's move on to the 1990 Miata. Well, of these two older cars, this one is definitely in less superior condition. Whereas this one is pretty much all original. This one has had a lot of work and needs a lot of work to it. I've been doing a paint job, basically rattle can paint job, and I mean it's, you know, it's got some hair and dust on it, but not bad for what it is, I guess. Did replace the top on this car, and there is a whole separate video of that. See, everything on this car works. Said this does have the B package, which includes power windows and headrest speakers, and I forget what else at this point. I don't know if this car has a limited slip. I've never actually checked. Not that it really matters. I don't really plan on doing anything with this car, but for a 1990 car, let's see, and this it is a June of 1990, so I guess it's one of the one of the newer 1990 cars. There's some differences between the early 90s and the late 90s, subtle differences. So when I got this car, it was pretty much a $1,500 basket case. It ran and it passed smog, which is what I wanted. I didn't want to start messing with emissions, but the paint was terrible, and the paint is still not great, but it's a lot better with the rattle can. And I should add that it is much better on the driver's side. Come over to the passenger side, and it's still all original. I haven't done anything with this side. And you can tell this quarter panel is really kind of rough. There is actually pretty decent dent in this door right here, which I've got a video coming up to remedy that. And that's why I haven't done anything with this passenger side, because I bought a used door. I'm gonna paint the used door and put it on. It's much cheaper to go ahead and do that than to try and fix this. Oh, I should also add that the intrusion beam is bent in this car, so you can't really fix that once that's bent. But generally faded, and you know, this side of the car would probably buff out. I've never done anything with it knowing that it was going to be painted. I did replace the mirrors with the electric version, but these are not electrified because this car was never set up for that. Again, check the separate video for that in the playlist. It's got an eBay lip on it, which I really like. It's got some clear indicators, aftermarket fog lights. Those are pretty polarizing. I actually happen to like them. And these are the original wheels that came on the Prelude. When I got them, they were just raw aluminum. They were ugly. They're still ugly. But then they were painted white and put on that car. And then I like those mesh wheels. So those are 15-inch and these are 14-inch. So I got those, and then these were just sitting for a couple years, so I recently painted them the bronze color. I don't know how long I'll keep them. Not really crazy about the wheels at all, but the tires are really good condition and the car drives really well with these tires. So I'll probably be tweaking these wheels a little bit. In fact, I know I will be. So it looks to still have the original windshield in this car. And this car has over 190,000 miles. Interior is actually pretty much done. I completely redid the interior. Got some used seats out of an NA8 Miata. I think because the fabric's just a little bit different, but these also have the headrest speakers. I have not hooked them up. But these seats are good, they're not torn. The old driver's seat was pretty torn on the bolster and just generally broken down. Still has its airbag steering wheel. I have no desire to change that out to a different steering wheel. I actually like the factory look. Even though that airbag is huge by modern standards, I have, like I said, no desire to change that out. Interior door panels, all in really good shape. So I made these scuff plates. There's a video on doing those. I think those cost me like maybe $5, $3 or $5. I forget. Got new floor mats for the car. And they, like I said, they're cut to fit floor mats. The original floor mats that said Miata on them were just torn up and faded and trashed. So let's move on to the engine bay. All right, here looking at the engine. This is all in pretty clean, original condition. I redid the valve cover, again with the wrinkle paint. Separate video on that in the playlist. Did the recessed numbers and letters in kind of a Mazda blue, I think, or close to it. So this car runs really well. Original airbox, no desire to change that on this car. Headlights work, everything works. Air conditioning does not work on this car. It engages, but there's probably a leak in the system, and this has not been converted. The Prelude was converted to 134. This is still R12. I'm not gonna mess with it. Just really no need. Headlights work. I'll turn those on. This has LED bulbs installed, and a while back Auxbeam was nice enough to send me those to try them out. They do have fans on them, so they're pretty noisy. I'm actually looking to probably replace these headlights with the same capsule kind that are in this Prelude because I really like them so much. But for now, these will do. All right, here looking inside the trunk. Don't mind the mess. Just some random crap in here. It's all original. The battery is new. I put a battery in this maybe about less than a year or so ago, and the battery was bad, so I took it back to O'Reilly Auto Parts and they gave me a brand new one under warranty. So this one seems to be holding a charge. The other one wasn't holding a charge. But again, I've got, these cars are hooked up with battery tenders. Car still has the original exhaust. Would like to probably change that one of these days, but not really a priority at this point. Probably before the exhaust, definitely before the exhaust. I'd like to get some coilovers for this car. It just sits really high. Coilovers, maybe some different wheels and tires if I could find a really good deal on a set. I'd definitely do that. I don't want to put a bunch of money into this car. It's just not worth it. And pretty much any money that I put into these cars at this point, I'd be losing. So, not that these are by any means any sort of investment, but of the two, I think the Prelude is far more desirable of a car. It's just in much better condition. But again, I don't have any plans of getting rid of either of these cars. The front bumper was repainted by me, and this 1990 is not supposed to have that badge, but this came on the car. It also had the Mazda script right there, which was in really bad condition, so I took that off, and I kept that. I think this came on 93 and up. That's the old style Mazda badge. Got the dogs over there just chilling. Beautiful day, temperature in the low 70s here, February, in San Diego. Still has the all the original body parts, including the hood, so it's got all the emissions labels and everything. All right, I'll go ahead and start it up. All right, before I start it, you can see the interior here. Like I said, it's all in really good shape. I purchased the factory ashtray, not that I smoke, but I also have the cup holder, so you can switch these out. But I restored this in a separate video. Original shift knob in pretty good shape. I did have to source a new tombstone here. The one this car came with was for an NA8, and it was it was too big, it didn't fit. I guess the previous owner told me somebody broke and installed the stereo that he had, so they broke that. But I have since replaced the stereo. Actually, he put the factory stereo back in when I bought the car, and I still have it. It's just a ugly cassette player. I don't even know if it works, don't care. Replaced it with just a real cheap, what is this? Boss stereo. The stereo might have been 50 bucks, I don't even remember. But it's got Bluetooth, music streaming, and that's all I really care about. So I'll go ahead and start it up. Again, no warning lights on this car. This car just passed smog check 2 weeks ago. The emissions on this car were super low. I was really surprised for the age of it and everything. So little valve clatter right at startup, but it does go away. All the gauges work, fuel gauge, everything, which is really nice. I said I did replace the mirrors. They are electric mirrors, but they're not hooked up to anything. I just wanted them for the look. So you can just move the glass manually if you need to. Mentioned before, the top is new. Seats are newer. And the dash is in pretty good shape, although it does have, it's got a couple little cracks that this one is not going anywhere. I mean, that's pretty much it. And it's got one starting right there. I don't know if you can see it, but I mean, I'm just gonna get a dash cover when that gets worse. I'm not gonna bother switching out the dash in this car. Wipers work, everything else works. All right, that'll kind of wrap up this video. If you have any questions on either car, or if you want to see something in more specific detail, please let me know in the comments section. This Honda is a car that I've always loved, and those of you that are longer term subscribers to my channel may remember when I also had a Nissan R35 GTR, and I actually preferred driving this over the GTR, which I eventually traded last year on a 2017 Mustang GT. And that car is living in the garage, and there's plenty of videos on that. So for right now, that'll pretty much do it. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Please consider subscribing, commenting. I read all the comments, and I pretty much reply to every single comment. Unless it's a stupid comment or a baiter comment, no need to reply to those. So that'll pretty much do it. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side.